You are watching Exertas.
Emotional intelligence, AIs can probably outdo humans, but I wouldn't say AIs will outdo humans at filling all of humans' emotional needs. What I think is more that AI, as it advances, can supply a context, an environment in which humans can better fulfill each other's emotional needs. Because now we're like competing over resources and scrambling around in an environment of scarcity, which pushes us into selfishness and egocentricity. It makes it harder for us to fulfill each other's emotional needs. Whereas if AI made our environments better, people can fulfill each other better. And then for those who prefer to remain human in a transhuman post singularity scenario, I mean, these humans by choice are more fulfilled humans by choice because they're fulfilling each other better rather because the AI is fulfilling all their needs.
So remind me to go back to patterns and the hidden pattern, but for a
Yeah.
second, because you brought that up, it makes me think about governing, and we're, constantly, how can we get AI to be a middleman for this corrupt system rather than how can we replace the corrupt system to actually get what the system was supposed to get us in the first place? What are the needs of the world, of nature, and of the populace? I mean, can't AI just do all that way better?
Yeah. I mean, AI should be able to do most objective things much better. And then the purpose of humans doing things post singularity will be because they're humans doing them, and humans would rather have other humans.
No, it froze for a second. Are you there? Ben, Dagobah system. There he is. Is it working?
Hey, my power went out, but I mean I'm sharing internet from my phone and laptop has batteries, so I
I
guess
hate
we
when the
can keep
CIA
going.
tries to suppress us. It's okay. We can get through
There you
this.
go. Yeah. So where was I? So I was talking about superhuman sex robots for a moment. So it'll be really fun, but there's a certain like spiritual and emotional angle you get from doing it with like a human partner with a strong feeling of love and emotional connection, right? And so I think that illustrates the same point I was talking about with playing in a band with people before. And I think governance is a way is the same thing. Like in some ways, of course, AI for government decision support could plan out like a health care agency or a national park management policy or how to how to move us toward a global climate situation that's amenable to humans and other species without stopping us from doing things. Like practical policy decisions are going to be much better done by decision support AGIs than by people. And right now, we already have cases where a lot of practical policy decisions will be made much better by narrow AIs than by people, but they're rarely used, right? Like I mean, you look at all the insane, chaotic, incoherent COVID management policies put in place over the last few years. And I tried pretty hard, together with some colleagues. I developed a bunch of simulation models of COVID spread, and we prototyped, simulations of if you put this or that policy in place for encouraging people to shop locally or eat locally or encouraging people to travel here instead of there. Like how could you how could you minimize the spread of COVID by using more intelligently designed policies as tested in simulation models with a bit of AI governing the agents in the simulation models. I mean, even now without AGI, you could use narrow AI simulation, various advanced tools to come up with much better policies. Selling those policies to the humans running governments is at this point more difficult than creating the AI tools to come up with the policies, right?
But
So for
the human policies hurt people oftentimes more than the problems themselves. Not every time, but a lot of the time, human interaction, there's corruption, there's mistakes, there's naivete, there's all sorts of issues
yeah,
along the way.
in the case of COVID policy, I think it wasn't mostly corruption. It's just stupidity combined
Exactly.
with fear and emotion run amok. What I was going to say though is, I think post singularity, if humans are going to be happy, the humans that choose to remain human rather than jack into the transhuman mind matrix or whatever, right? If humans are going to continue to be happy, there will almost surely be a level of human democratic governance there, because humans just evolved to want to feel agency over their own future in the individual and collective level. And I mean, social action is part of what makes us feel fulfilled, but that human decision making will be taking place in the context of pretty smart AI decision support, right? And then you'd be able to look at it two ways. You could look at it like, well, actually the AI is making all the really important decisions, and the humans are just sort of telling it how to tweak its parameters here and there. Sort of like the the votes of the student council in high school, which exists for giving the students the fun of making those decisions rather than because what they're deciding is really the most important stuff. But then
Mm-hmm.
the other way to look at it would be the humans are democratically, choosing the collective values that drive the social contract, and then the AI is helping to figure out how to implement specific decisions according to those values, right? And I mean, in the case of something like COVID, I mean, you could say with a superhuman AI, you just come up with some nanobot to wipe out COVID, and then you don't have any policy decisions to make. But if for some reason that weren't viable, and you really did have some pandemic that the level of AI at that time couldn't solve, right? Then there's values to be decided collectively, which is like how much do we value not getting sick or people not dying versus how much do we value freedom of movement and kids being able to go to school and play with other kids and so forth. And if humans set those values, then even now an AI could have designed a policy to maximize the specified values much better. And I think there's, of course, issues people have in that they don't want to explicitly articulate their real values to themselves or to others, right? And if you're
Absolutely.
in that circumstance, then you can't appropriately direct the AI either. I mean, unless the AI is just psyching you out and saying, "Well, I'm going to do what I know you really value rather than what you say you value," right? Which is what we do with little kids, right? I mean, a little kid will scream and say, "No, I don't want to go out to play." We're like, "Well,
For sure
we
you
know
do.
you will enjoy going out to play, so we're going to drag you kicking and screaming out to the playground because we know you'll have more fun there now," right? So to some extent, and AGI may be doing that with people once it's there, but on the other hand, one would hope humans are reflective and self-aware, and some humans engaged on the journey of trying to improve their level of self-awareness so that we can interact with AGIs helping to regulate society in a more mature way than like a 2-year-old does with their parents.
The other side is the raised by
There's a lot.
wolves. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on.
Oh, I was just thinking the raised by wolves thing, because you have AI. We speak a language or a series of languages that have been controlled for trade. We've lost the 7 words for love because they weren't really useful to trade. We put a value on suffering and death because it happens to us, so we try to get something out of it. Maybe some of these philosophies that we've created to comfort ourselves, even the language itself, maybe AI can help us create new words, new communication, new ways of thinking.
Yeah, I think that could happen implicitly, right? Like once we have benevolent AGIs in our midst and we're chatting with them regularly, then I mean, just as we now have adapted to how to type keyword search queries, and we've adapted to phrasing things stupidly for Alexa or Google Assistant, right? I mean, in the same way, but much more valuably and interestingly and entertainingly. I mean, we'll be able to adjust to the lingo and mode of expression of a benevolent super AGI, and it will then be able to tweak our communication implicitly by the way it talks to us and the way it responds to us. And this again could be used in a quite nasty way or in a very benevolent way, right?